Welcome back, everyone, to the Barely News Crew. I'm your host here, as always, Alexis, and I'm joined by Peter Martinez. Another edition of the Marvel Project for you. This is my favorite Marvel movie. This is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie, by all intents and purposes, shocked everybody.
This started Marvel's winning streak for me because I think they started dipping a little bit after Avengers with Iron Man 3 and Thor. Yeah. This is the one that a lot of people consider their favoriteest.
Oh, God. I mean, look, 10 minutes into this movie, I remember watching this with Kyle when it came out, and we were like front row, like watching the movie. Like,
oh, that's
like,
terrible.
So fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But you know what? We were having the time of our lives. It was so great. Like I told you, 10 minutes in, I knew this was like already better than Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World. Just how great the movie and everything it was setting up. First of all, what you notice is the action.
The action is incredible.
A goal that was set by the Russo brothers to make this kind of action much more realistic and intense as you would, because Cap's abilities are superhuman abilities. You don't get the whole Thor Iron Man 3 aspect. I mean, Iron Man 3. The Thor or Iron Man abilities. This is Cap, and you really see how Cap's fighting style has evolved in the 2 years since the Avengers.
But what I like is that they also show that he is a superhuman.
Oh, yeah.
Because there'll be times where, like, I remember, like, he kicks a guy and he, like, boom, like he flies and, like, dents the wall or something like that.
Oh, when in the opening where he's, like, running... He's lapping Sam Wilson on your left.
The action, not just for a Marvel film, but just for an action film, some of the best action I've ever seen. Like the fight between him and Bucky in, not the end, but the middle.
Oh, yeah.
When it starts off that highway, and then it falls, and they're just going at it. He has Bucky has his knife, and I was like, is one of the best fight scenes.
Oh, I think. I love how he uses the shield in this movie. They really made they made it a point to make it more of an impact when he throws that shield. Kind of the same way they made it a point of Chewbacca's Star Blaster or Cross Blaster in The Force Awakens. Every time you see that shield being used, it is impressive.
This is also the film that really showed Marvel is cool with taking big risks. You know, not just small risks, because I think, you know, Iron Man 3 and even some of Thor, they took some risks.
Yeah.
But this is the film where it's like, we will reshape the universe that we've set up, and we're okay with doing that. Even though we have a television show going on right now that sort of hinges on what we destroy, which was S.H.I.E.L.D. They had no problem destroying S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, that no one saw that coming.
No one did.
That sequence when it was revealed that Hydra was inside S.H.I.E.L.D. all this time was, man, really, this entire time Hydra never went away. And really what S.H.I.E.L.D. is because of Hydra, and how Hydra shaped the 21st century.
Yeah.
With the use of the Winter Soldier and pushing certain events to get the world, the fact that this is the world Hydra created.
You go back and you see like that one agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., what's his name, who turned out to be working for Hydra. He was like also with Coulson sometimes.
Jasper Sitwell. Yes.
You know, seeing him in earlier things in films, it's interesting. You think like, oh, they were part of this. The Winter Soldier. Kind of surprised that they went to right away with the second Captain America film, but they did him so well. I say Captain America: Winter Soldier is the best Terminator film since the second one, because the Winter Soldier, that's basically what he is, and they make him scary. This is the first
Black Widow's afraid of him.
Yeah,
I mean,
this was I know he turns into a hero, but this was the first Marvel villain where he is, I would say, scary. You know, he doesn't quip, he doesn't say anything, he just finds you and he kills you. That's why I say, like, he feels like a Terminator. And that whole action scene with Nick Fury is one of the best car chase scenes. It was incredible. But also the end where he just, like, throws over his car and he just walks to him like, I'm gonna kill you. But the great thing about this film is it's not just great action set pieces.
Of course not.
It has a lot of heart to it.
A lot of, aside from the action sequences and the political intrigue and the fact that this movie itself is very relevant I think this movie came out at the height of the whole NSA.
Yeah, I remember that.
Surveillance and everything, and then of course you have here S.H.I.E.L.D.
Maybe Marvel was behind that.
Well, maybe
drumming up excitement
and the fact
for the
that
film.
Nick Fury, who obviously wasn't Hydra, but he was the one that came up with Project Insight. Which, when you think about it, is a pretty kind of extreme measure to have these super advanced helicarriers that are programmed to target certain people by sacrificing 7 million to save 23 million, whatever, how their mentality
millions
is.
to save billions. S.H.I.E.L.D. themselves, they're not bad.
They're nope.
But you can see where they were pushed to do bad things.
And they lost their way.
They lost their way. The same with Nick Fury. He is not a bad guy.
Right.
But he has done some bad things and for what he considers to be freedom and for the better good. And then you're like, well, that's not much different from Hydra.
Yeah.
And it's one of those films where it's like, oh, it's great, where you take your heroes, they're not black and white. You start to throw some gray in there, which is a great thing to do for a Captain America movie.
That particular S.H.I.E.L.D. needed to be taken down. Because you had seen Cap had always had this issue with the way S.H.I.E.L.D. operates, and a lot of that was because of Hydra, and of course Nick Fury. And the fact that this S.H.I.E.L.D. needed to be taken down because of Hydra had been infiltrated was a bold decision, but a firm decision made by Steve Rogers that even Maria Hill and Natasha Romanoff agreed with. A better version of S.H.I.E.L.D. obviously emerges. Obviously, behind the scenes, you have Phil Coulson that restarts S.H.I.E.L.D., and you see that in Age of Ultron. And the last act of the movie, where S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back with Nick Fury on a helicarrier, that's the S.H.I.E.L.D. that Cap envisions, and that's the S.H.I.E.L.D. that Phil Coulson has fostered through that.
Speaking about Cap, his arc and his story throughout this film is a very intriguing one. You take someone that's very black and white, and you see that in the original Captain America film. You pluck him and you put him in today's world, and you don't change the character, but you change the world around him. And you see how he responds to it, and he says, it was always easy for me to follow orders, but it's not so easy anymore. Things are not so black and white anymore. They're very gray.
Yeah.
And
he's very disillusioned.
He's lost, and he's disillusioned. He's not only lost as far as being in this time period, but he's just lost in general because of the things he's left behind. That scene with Peggy, when he still visits her, and she's just sort of very old and probably has Alzheimer's. She can't remember things. Just realizing this whole life that he could have had to himself to be happy is lost, and he's thrown into this new world that's very different from the one he left behind, and not as happy.
He's taking trips to the Smithsonian, and just to reconnect with his past and how things see of him, and then he also visits Peggy, and ever since I first saw that scene with him and her in the theater, it destroys me. It's not funny. It's not funny.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
It ain't funny because that's an experience that a lot of people have gone through. When you, yes, it's very particular to the fact that yes, this is a life he could have had with her, but she's dying in front of him.
Yes.
That last connection to his old life is quickly fading away, and that comes at the point where Cap is lost more than he ever has been.
He's just losing everything he had to his past, and that's when he learns that there's someone else from his past that's still alive, but also very different from what he remembers, which is Bucky. And that's also where you start getting some of the feels. Where, this is his brother, this is his everything, this is his best friend. And he was turned into this monster. I'm sure a bit of himself blames himself for that, because he couldn't save him. That whole ending, where he tries to reach him. He tells him, I'm with you to the end of the line.
Don't do that.
It's great. It's so great. This is where Marvel excels, is with their characters. And, oh my God. Talking about the other characters, Sam Wilson as Falcon was introduced. I loved him. You get his character. You get why he has this connection to Cap.
Yeah.
You know, they both served. They both have lost something. His wingsuit and the action with it is really awesome.
It is.
I remember loving it. And I thought, like, how are they going to make it work? Not look silly. It worked really well. And you also get a cool little side thing with him in Black Widow.
This is what she should have been in Iron Man 2. If there was a purpose to bring her in there, but there never was one. Here, there was a purpose to bring Black Widow, because Black Widow's own story weaves into this with her connection to the Winter Soldier, and with her being very just sad. Because her
home was S.H.I.E.L.D.
She had a home at S.H.I.E.L.D., and to realize that she traded in the KGB for Hydra was devastating to her. And that whole relationship between her and Steve, I'm not always entirely sure how to feel about it as to whether I'm okay with the really. I love the way it is now, but come on, tell me there isn't any sexual tension between those two sometimes. I mean, the looks they give each other, and I mean,
I think she might have been feeling a little bit, but I don't think he was. I think he was just trying to be a good guy. And like he saw, like, this is his friend, and she's very different than him.
Maybe at the beginning
very
they were
morally
they're very different, right? At the beginning, I wouldn't call them friends. At the end, they're definitely friends.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Their friendship really grew in that film, and I think that's why it's going to be very interesting to see Civil War.
Oh, I know. Because since she's on the other team, bitch, you. No, I'm kidding. Good on you. I was going to say
is she right there?
Yeah. Well, there she is. I mean, what do you think?
He has a Winter Soldier poster. That Easter egg when Nick Fury's dead at the end, and it shows his tombstone.
Yes.
You saw
Ezekiel. Yeah. I saw it, baby. We know where that's from.
Yeah. Here's like, man, I really want my Nick Fury movie. From this, that's what gave me, like, I know he's always been like the side character.
Damn time. And no one thought he died, right? I mean,
out of all the fake out deaths, this is the one that's probably second best. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. This film just succeeds on almost every single level. It's a really, really well made film.
Remember when it hit? It was a surprise.
It was a big surprise. We never thought Marvel would play with these characters in such a way.
Right? And it's just like, again, coming off the dip in quality with the last two movies after the Avengers, when you had that high.
Yeah.
This one was a new high for them in such a different level, and the fact that the Russo brothers, who have a comedy background or something, and then they do something like this, to the point where this one movie is their resume. Okay, give us Civil War and Infinity War, and we'll do them. And based on how well that movie has been received, Civil War, incredible.
That gives me high hopes for Infinity War. I have a hard time ranking these films, but this one is 1 or 2.
It's my number one.
It's your number 1 or 2.
And I love this movie so much more because at the time, you got to recall this. I had really taken to the new show that Marvel did called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Very mediocre and very cliched by the numbers. But I didn't like all the hate that it was getting. And I kind of felt bad about that. But keep in mind that when this movie came out, it changed the game. And when they revealed the showrunners for that show that they were essentially waiting for this movie to come out so they can get the real things going, after Winter Soldier hit, it changed this show dramatically. And where it is now, it makes me love the movie so much more because it can be argued that this movie single-handedly saved that show.
It probably did, yeah.
To the point where it's already been renewed for a 4th season. At the time, it was I think it was getting to a place where it was considered one of TV's biggest bombs because it didn't get the ratings that it would expect, and it still doesn't. But the fact that it survived, it went through that, and it's improved considerably.
Yeah. Because
of this movie. I'm blessed. I feel blessed,
I'm blessed.
that actually happened. I take this seriously, Peter.
You take it very seriously.
Okay. The Winter Soldier is an incredible movie. In my top 10 favorite movies of all time. My favorite Marvel movie. I love political thrillers. I love Captain America. And this movie solidified my love for all things Marvel. And it enriched the experience for me.
This movie is probably the best Marvel has had to offer as far as story.
Yeah.
And I would still say Avengers is best best characters, but this is a very, very close second. You know, it really showed that Marvel wanted to prove themselves to be more than just you know, by the numbers popcorn films. They want to try new things. They want to get better with each film. It started them on a pretty good hot streak.
Especially what's coming up next.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Peter. Thanks you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching. I'm your host, as always, Alexis. This has been another Marvel Project installment, and keep it here at the BNC, the place for all things movie news and reviews. Bye bye.